waters are fast-moving.
Unlike other big rallies,
Bit earlier at about 7 a.m., a group from the Coast Guard.
Welcome to #PHVote 2013.
Today on Rappler, the Philippines may use the water cannon incident in its case against China over disputed South China Sea territories.
You're now going to cut programs which are actually, I think, important programs. Primarily, I think, in the social sciences and humanities, there will be great impact.
Professors from the University of the Philippines, Diliman, say the academic calendar shift will affect the social sciences and humanities. And U.S. President Barack Obama threatens to pull out all military troops from Afghanistan.
Hello, I'm Natasha Gutierrez sitting in for Maria Ressa. Welcome to Rappler, your social news network. The Philippine government's lawyer says Manila may use the water cannon incident at the disputed Panatag or Scarborough Shoal in its historic case against Beijing. Solicitor General Francis Hardaleza says the Philippines may include the incident in its written pleading in the case it raised to an international court over disputed territories in the South China Sea.
Right being there in the first place. So any action by China to harass, deprive, or harass or shoo away our fishermen is a violation of UNCLOS. That would be the legal significance of raising it, if we do raise it.
Sources say China is pulling all stops to derail the Philippines case, offering Manila incentives like more investments and the withdrawal of ships from Panatag. Hardaleza's statement comes after the Philippines strongly protested China's use of water cannons to drive Filipino fishermen away from the shoal. Lawyer Harry Roque of the UP Institute of International Legal Studies says the incident will bolster the Philippines' claim. He adds it can be used to force an interpretation of an international law on seas. The disputed shoal is now practically occupied by Chinese ships, although it lies within the Philippines' exclusive economic zone. The Philippines is also considering sending Coast Guard ships to Panatag if China persists in harassing local fishermen in the area. For our social media post of the day, the row between the Philippines and China over Scarborough Shoal is not the first territorial dispute between both nations. Netizens weigh in on the matter. Jet Javier says the deal before was for both sides to pull out of the Panatag Shoal to diffuse tension. But when the Philippine Coast Guard left, the Chinese naval ships stayed. We trusted them, but in the end, we were pranked. Jake Patrick Goku thinks it's no different from bullying. China's throwing their weight around and the Philippines is helpless to defend itself. Pork Beans rallies behind the Philippine vessels. He says, let's all support our Coast Guard. They need it now more than ever. The University of the Philippines' flagship campus is debating a shift in its academic calendar. While the rest of the UP system and other top universities agreed to change their class opening, UP Diliman faculty members say changing the calendar won't have clear advantages. Some say the move would help the university become more globally competitive. But Professor Ramon Guillermo says the social sciences and the humanities programs may suffer because of the focus on marketability.
So there are a lot of kind of competition. By changing our calendar, we are sort of declaring that we are entering a competition with the other nations in ASEAN for foreign students. So now we have to evaluate our courses for marketability so that we can sell them on the ASEAN University Network. In order to compete, given the limited resources and the limited capacity that the UP has, you're now going to cut programs which are actually, I think, important programs. Primarily, I think, in the social sciences and humanities, there will be great impact.
UP's constituent units are slated to open classes in August next year. Archaeology professor Victor Paz says holding classes during the summer months will affect research activities.
Second semester, successful in doing that. If we change the calendar and make the first semester run across the driest months of the year, the effect of that will be we are going to be forced to choose whether we are going to serve the university by teaching or purely serve it by doing research.
The UP Diliman administration is holding a referendum to assess the sentiment of its professors. Guillermo says a more thorough consultation process is needed.
I think that the main thing is, for me, it's consultation. It's really going through a process of understanding, discussing, and evaluating this kind of change, which is massive, which will affect a lot of things in the university. And I don't think we have gone through a proper procedure, through a proper process of consultation and hammering out of what we really need.
Okay, so unlike Dr. Paz, maybe you're... The Indonesian province of Riau on Sumatra Island is under a state of emergency after being blanketed in thick haze from forest fires Thursday. With thousands of people sick, transport disrupted, and schools closed, the state of emergency prompts the Indonesian government to drop water on fires and induce rain by cloud seeding. National Disaster Agency spokesman Sutopo Purwo Nugroho says more than 24 people suspected of starting fires are arrested. In Riau, blazes are deliberately lit every year to clear land for palm oil and wood pulp plantations. Haze from fires in Sumatra is an annual problem in Southeast Asia, but in June 2013, Singapore and Malaysia were cloaked in smog worse than usual. This strained ties between Indonesia and its neighbors, prompting President Susilo Bambang Yudhoyono to apologize. Let's now look at Rappler's Wrap for today, a list of the 10 most important events around the world you shouldn't miss. At number 3, U.S. President Barack Obama plans to withdraw troops in Afghanistan because of Afghan leader Hamid Karzai's repeated refusal to sign a security pact. The U.S. threat is the latest twist in a long political struggle with Karzai. The Obama administration says it prefers to leave behind a residual U.S. force when its combat teams leave Afghanistan after America's longest war at the end of this year. At number 4, the capital of Ukraine's Russian-speaking Crimea Peninsula is rocked by a wave of secessionist sentiment Wednesday as pro-Russian protesters fight against supporters of Ukraine's new interim authorities. Thousands of pro-Moscow residents and Muslim Crimean Tatars hold competing rallies outside the regional parliament in Simferopol. There are fears that Ukraine's pro-Moscow East could push for partition following the ouster of Kremlin-backed President Viktor Yanukovych. And at number 7, struggling Australian carrier Qantas will cut 5,000 jobs as part of a major restructure after it posted a first-half net loss of $210 million. The carrier also plans significant changes to its fleet plans and network. Following a profit warning in December 2013, credit rating group Moody's and stock index Standard & Poor's both downgraded Qantas's credit rating to junk status. Qantas has since been working on its finances to convince the government it deserves a debt guarantee. For the full top 10, visit Rappler.com's The Wrap. In local basketball, San Mig Coffee reigned supreme once again. After a slow start in the Philippine Cup, they recovered just in time to overcome rain or shine in 6 games. Jane Brasher reports.
History. That is what San Mig Coffee achieved once the final buzzer of Game 6 sounded. It was a hard-fought and controversial game, with rain or shine walking out and returning in the second quarter. But in the end, San Mig clobbered rain or shine 88-70 to close out the final series and become champions of the 2014 Philippine Cup. The trophy is all the more sweeter, being the 16th title of Mixers coach Tim Cone, making him the winningest coach in PBA history, surpassing his idol, Baby Dalupan, Crispa's legendary coach.
People are going to say, well, you surpassed Baby Dalupan. Nobody surpasses Baby Dalupan. Nobody equals him. Nobody surpasses him. The best part about all this is that I get to have my name mentioned with Baby. And so when people mention Tim Cone, they talk about Baby. When they talk about Baby, they talk about me.
The title marks the first back-to-back crown for the Mixers, who also won last season's Governor's Cup. The Mixers overcame 5 losses at the conference start, coming into the finals exhausted from a grueling 7-game semifinal series against Ginebra.
Masaya. Kumbaga, pinaghirapan namin. Siguro makakatulog na rin ako ng mahimbing ngayon. Pero ito talagang napatunayan din namin kahit paano na talagang pulso lang yung puhunan namin.
The Coffee Prince, Mark Baroka, was named Finals MVP. San Mig Coffee has proven for the past 3 years that winning is in its DNA, but this title is extra special. After all, the only thing sweeter than winning a championship is making history along the way. Jane Brasher, Rappler, Manila.
Filipina X Factor Israel winner Rose Fostanes will pursue singing full-time. Her employer decided to let her go so she could fulfill her dreams after winning the reality TV show. During her courtesy call to the Israeli embassy in the Philippines, Fastanes recounts her worries over her working permits.
Dumating yung final, nininervous ako dahil sabi ko, anong gagawin ko pagkatapos nito? Hindi ko alam kung ano magiging resulta. So hindi na ako makakabalik sa employer kaya may expire na yung visa niya.
Fastanes even tried to go back to work during the competition. She was faced with a dilemma after winning X Factor: stay on as a caregiver and sing only 10 hours a week, or sing full-time with an entertainer visa.
Tapos nag-try pa rin akong pumasok sa kanya, kahit na alam ko may expired na yung visa ko. And sabi niya sa akin, bakit anong ginagawa mo? Sabi ko, papasok ako sa'yo. So siya rin nagsabi sa akin, no, you need to rest.
But her employer, who supported her from day one, encouraged her to pursue singing. These days, Fastanes' schedule is packed. She will be in the Philippines for only 5 days. Fastanes is also set to record her album and perform in Israel and Australia. Israeli ambassador to the Philippines, Menashe Bar-On, says her win shows how his country provides equal opportunity to everybody.
To see a person who went to another country, like such Israel, to work as a caregiver and coming back here as an idol.
Jessica Cox is the first licensed pilot in the world with no arms, having an inborn disability that did not stop her from pursuing her dreams. How can people living with disabilities overcome their limitations? Ryan Macasero reports.
Jessica Cox was born without arms. No one, including the doctors, could explain why Jessica was born with this rare birth defect. Little did she know the disability would be a source of inspiration for many people worldwide.
Well, it was a long journey, I'll tell you that. And when I first walked in the room and I saw that quote, it always hits me as very powerful because it's the truth of my challenges in life is all of us have a journey of self-acceptance. And for me to see myself as different was so hard to understand. It was hard for me to come to terms with it. And as I got older, in teenage years, it became even more difficult, being stared at, being looked at. And as a teenager, that's the last thing you want to do is have extra attention.
She first caught the world's attention in 2008 after becoming the world's first licensed pilot without arms. In 2013, she was recognized as one of the 10 best pilots of Plane and Pilot magazine. She is a martial artist, a diver, surfer, equestrian, gymnast, and tap dancer. Jessica arrived in the Philippines Tuesday night, working with Handicap International and the Ortigas Foundation. She is here to raise funds for typhoon victims with disabilities and her documentary, Right-Footed. This visit is special to Jessica. Her mother, Inez Macabare, is from Bobon, near Giwan in eastern Samar, where devastating Typhoon Haiyan made landfall.
I know there's a lot of media about it, but I think it's going to be something to see it with my own eyes. I've heard all the stories, and just to be able to see it, it's going to be important to be able to listen and show that we are in solidarity.
Handicap International says disabled people are the most vulnerable in times of disaster. Blind might not hear a disaster coming, the deaf might not hear it, and people in wheelchairs often get left behind and can't escape. According to the Philippine census, there are at least 1,443,000 persons living with disabilities in the country. Many struggle to overcome their condition when facing everyday challenges like opening doors, going upstairs, or simply leaving the house.
Well, I think for anyone who has that struggle of self-acceptance, whether they have a disability, whether they're fully normal but are still struggling with self-acceptance, I just want to let them know that, God created us unique and unlike anyone else in the world, and He has great purpose in that.
Jessica Cox says it's truly a gift to be different, and part of that gift is helping PWDs like her live normal lives. Ryan Macasero, Rappler, Manila.
Young, upcoming writers and composers add their voice to the Philippine musical theater scene with the original musical Toilet. What do millennials have to sing and dance about? G. Tanji reports.
Everyone has a tale to tell. Everybody is somebody who nobody can just fully understand.
Alumni of Ateneo de Manila's Blue Repertory collaborate to produce an original musical. with a very unusual title. Toilet the Musical is the story of teenagers coming to grips with the realities of their world, where sexuality, acceptance, betrayal, bullying, and love all come together to elicit a frenzy of discourses through musical song and dance.
What's your problem? I don't know. There's this pain in my shoulder. You know, the kind that feels like you've been stabbed in the back.
A teenage drama of struggling through high school. The toilet is the only place where the characters truly reveal themselves.
You were an earthquake 'cause you rock my world.
Bin Buhain, co-director of Toilet, says coming back to Blue Rep long after graduation is essential to his art. He talks about the Western influence that is palpable in the musical.
Some people would think that we should only stick to our cultural roots, to linikling, stuff like that, right? But I find that the Western end of it is still a legitimate form of art.
Composer and lyricist is 23-year-old E.J. Yatko, who also holds 3 silver medals and 1 gold from the World Championship of the Performing Arts. He says Toilet the Musical took years to develop. Yatko's return to Blue Rep is nostalgic and says the musical is the voice of his generation.
I like to think the sound of it, it's kind of the voice of my generation. Because they're all young people working here. I think the oldest one who worked here is 25 and 23. So if people want to see how the youth thinks right now, I think this is a good show to check out.
Television writer Mio Santamaria co-writes Toilet the Musical.
Filipinos would relate to this kind of musical, I think, because Filipinos do have a strong religious character to them, and they also have they have a tendency to judge a lot.
Call you a brother, you're practically twins.
The thesis of the musical?
There are no happy endings. In this life we live, there are no endings, just beginnings. I'd live my life as a new beginning. I'd live my life with no ending.
They are called the Millennials, said to be materialistic, self-centered, technology-obsessed. But it has also been said that they are the greatest force for positive change. Jitanji, Rappler, Manila.
Toilet the Musical closes this weekend at the Ateneo de Manila University's Gonzaga Exhibit Hall. Every story on Rappler has a mood meter, which gives you 8 emotions to choose from. Click how you feel and your vote comes down to the Mood Navigator in the middle of the front page, which crowdsources the mood of the day. It also gives you the top 10 stories with the most clicks. Let's check out today's Mood Navigator. A look at the Mood Navigator shows one dominant color. Let's start with one of a different color. This bluish gray circle. In Yolanda Bunkhouse's Sex is Hard to Do. This has 42% of readers feeling sad, 24% feeling annoyed, and 13% feeling amused. The biggest red circle right in the center. China offers the Philippines incentives to quit ITLO's case. This was the top story yesterday. This has readers feeling, 83% of readers feeling angry, while 11% are annoyed. And another red circle here over to the left. This is a recent story. Senator Jinggoy to block confirmation of COA's Heidi Mendoza has 83% of people feeling angry and 8% feeling annoyed. All these stories contribute to the mood of the day. Today, most people are angry. That's Rappler's newscast for today, Thursday, February 27, 2014. Visit Rappler.com and watch our newscast Monday to Friday. Tell us how you feel in our mood meter and help us crowdsource the mood of the day. I'm Natasha Gutierrez. As we say at Rappler, tomorrow begins today.